What's up YouTube? Gunship413 here with my first installment of my Portal 2 Authoring Tools Hammer tutorials. So, if you're watching this, you're probably ready to start mapping for Portal 2. So, I'm going to go ahead and assume you have Portal 2 and the Portal 2 Authoring Tools installed. So, first thing you're going to want to do is locate it either on your Start menu or your desktop and double click. Steam will launch it, and you'll be left with this, the Portal 2 Authoring Tools menu. So, the tool you're looking for is the Hammer World Editor, which is the first item under the Applications area. So, we'll double click it, and boom, Hammer's open. So, what you'll want to do is click File, New, and your screen will look something like this. So, for the sake of sanity, because this drives me crazy, the first thing you'll want to do, if your screens look like this, is press Control-A. That will equalize all of your screens so they're the same size. Now, what you're looking at here is the Hammer interface. Now, mine is a bit customized, so yours will probably look a little bit different, but right now they should look very similar. So, up here you'll see the first toolbar, which has File, Edit, Map, View, Tools, Instancing, Foundry, Window, and Help. Now, these are some of the more important aspects of mapping in Hammer, such as making a new file, opening, closing this one, saving it, exporting, or running your map. You have many options for editing, for your map, what you want to view, and tools. Now, in actually making your map, the most important toolbar will be here on the left. Now, I'll go ahead and go through the tools one by one after a brief navigation explanation. So, you'll probably notice the 4 large black screens in Hammer. First off, you have a 3D view. This shows what your game map will look like in the engine, minus matte lighting. Now, one thing that I want to go ahead and clarify is that when you start making your map, it may not look exactly right. For example, the textures might not show up. So what you'll want to do is go to View, 3D Shaded Textured Polygons. It should be on that. Now, you have the other 3 views, which include your top or overhead view, and right and front views. Now, that concludes navigation. So, you're probably ready to make something. Well, I'm going to make something in the next video, but right now we'll just discover what you can do in Hammer. So, let's start with the toolbar. First off, you have this red arrow, which is your selection tool. It allows you to select things in your 2D views. So anything you select in any of these areas will be selected in the map. Next, you have the magnify tool, which allows you to zoom in or out by clicking or right-clicking. Now, it's not really a useful tool if you have a mouse with a mouse wheel, so you can just scroll in and out of any of these views. Next, which is a fairly important tool, is the camera tool, which allows you to navigate in your 3D view by simply turning the mouse and scrolling in and out. Next, you have the tools for mapping. Now, the first 2 tools are the most important. You have your entity tool and your block tool. These objects are what maps are made of, entities and blocks, which are referred to in the mapping industry as brushes. So, I'll go ahead and show you an example of each. First off, you have the block tool. So, make sure the block tool is selected. You can come over here to your 2D view, click, and drag to make a cube that is the desirable size for whatever you're doing. Pressing enter, you'll see that, hey, a cube has appeared. Now, if yours looks any different, you might just want to put a comment below. But this is what it should look like. Just one very simple cube. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's great and all, but how do I texture it? Well, the Toggle Texture Application tool. Right under the block tool, it's just colored. So, So you can click on it, and this will open up. It's called the Face Edit Sheet, which allows you to place your textures on your brushes, alter the texture scale, shift, or rotation. So the first thing you want to do, if you want to make something like a floor, so what you'll want to do is select, make sure under Mode, Apply Texture and Values is selected. You can click Browse, and this will come up. This is the texture browsing window. Now, you can just scroll through and pick whatever texture you like best. Let's click this. That looks pretty. So, you just click on the face that you want to apply it to, and it will apply it. Or, alternatively, you can click your selection tool. Once it's selected over here, you can just click on your brush in the 3D view, and click the application tool, and all faces of the cube will be selected. And the texture will be applied. Now, next we have our Entity tool. This allows you to place everything else in the game, including models, NPCs, weapons, player starts, and everything else you'll need. So right now, as you can see, I've clicked on the brush in the 3D view, and a red box has appeared. Yours will probably look slightly different. My settings are custom, and my primary class for the object is a prop dynamic. But yours will look like this. An info player start. A green mannequin has appeared with a beard and glasses, and yes, it's Gordon Freeman. So, this is the info player start. This is where your player will spawn in the game. So, that's very important. There's many other types of entities you can spawn, such as models, lighting, really anything else that you can think of. So next, I'll show you a few more tools. You have the Apply Current Texture tool, which basically does the same thing as toggle texture if you have the brush selected. So that will apply it if it wasn't the same. Next, you have the Decal and Overlays tool. These are also very important. Let's say you want to apply a blood stain to the floor here. Well, that's fairly simple. You just click Browse. Now, you look for whatever you want to apply, in this case a blood stain. Now, you don't have to look for it. You can also just search it. But just so you can have an idea and see what kind of textures we have here in Portal 2, I'll scroll through everything. Okay, here's some paint stains. We'll do one of those. It's simple. So, overlays, paint splatter. Now, you can either do an info decal, like that, or you can do an overlay with the tool under it. Now, as you can see, they both look drastically different. That's because overlays and decals are two different things. A decal is like this. I really don't like decals because they're just really, really uncontrollable. You can't decide what you want to do with it. All you can do is change the texture. Now, with overlays, you have a lot more options. You can change the U-end, which allows you to resize it and change the way it looks. You can move it around, and you can put it on different faces. So, we'll just delete that for now. Next, you have the clipping tool. That's very important when it comes to brushes. So let's say I want to make this into a diamond shape. Well, here's what we do. We will just select it and click on the clipping tool. Now, as you'll see, it's turned red in the 2D view. So, you click and drag to where you want to delete. Now, as you'll see, this is red and this is white. The red means that is the selection that will be deleted if you press enter. White will be kept. You can click the tool again to change this. If you choose both white, then it will just make an incision but keep both brushes there. And if either one is red, it will delete that side. Since we're making this into a diamond, we'll delete the outer side. Now press enter. Done. And we'll just repeat that step 4 times. Boom. And now you have a diamond. The last tool is called the Vertex tool, which is it's very fun if you're making things that aren't really connected to the grid. So let's say you want to choose what vertex goes where. So you can move vertices like this. Just play around with it. It's fun. You can change it in any view, any way you like. Press enter, and there you go. It is a complete screw up, but it looks great. So that concludes the tools section. Now over here, yours will look slightly different, but It shows the different type of select, your texture browsing system over here, and the viz groups, which we'll get into in a more advanced tutorial. That basically showcases all of Hammer's basic functions, and making your first mat will be covered in my next video. So I hope you enjoyed, and please continue watching my videos. They're very helpful. Have a great day.